Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here as we prepare for the 13th race of the season at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the home to events such as the Coca-Cola 600 and for a long time the All-Star Race. Tonight it hosts the drivers of the MSRA Reaper Speedlab Truck Series. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Kyle Lawrence. And Kyle, these drivers, the past couple of weeks, they've had some challenging tracks they've had to take to, but here tonight, a mile-and-a-half racetrack, D-shaped oval. Going to be interesting to see if strategy comes into play tonight, if track position's important, because a lot of different factors that we've been watching here in practice and qualifying that kind of leave us with some question marks.
I'm definitely looking at this race as a full strategy sort of race. I can see a lot of green flag racing out there at Charlotte. Charlotte usually produces very good racing. In a way, a multi-groove racetrack. That high side doesn't work too well, but that middle lane, you can get some speed up there and get a great run off the corner. And it also produces great side-by-side racing off of these corners.
Definitely does. These drivers going to take to the track for 134 laps here tonight. We will have that stage caution. It's going to come out at the completion of lap 30. So stage points up for grabs for drivers as we begin to enter into the second half of the regular season now. It's been a pretty long first half, but pretty much Charlotte kind of that halfway point it seems on all the schedules, and it does the same thing here tonight for these drivers. How about Will Cooley? We've seen him be very consistent in the last couple of weeks, almost pull off a win a couple of times, and tonight, another first for the driver of the 00 as he's going to get his first pole position alongside of Agno Phillip.
Yeah, Will Cooley in the 00 putting down a steamer at the end of qualifying, puts it on the pole. We talked about him a couple weeks ago when we were at Kansas. Definitely put on a very good show at Kansas a couple weeks ago. Almost got the win, coming home in the top three. We'll have to see where he comes home today. Starting out there on the pole, that was a fantastic start, Seth.
22 drivers going to take the green flag here tonight. Notice a couple of drivers up there in the point standings that are not in the field. We'll document them as the night goes on. As you saw, 17 drivers taking time. Braxton DeWeese is going to be rolling off from the 18th spot, 19th Chuck Waldrop, 20th Corey Hassler, and 21st Richard Malagani. I thought there were 22. It actually looks like there's going to be 21 drivers that are going to take the green flag here this evening. But Will Cooley and Agno Phillip, a couple of part-time drivers looking to both captured their first checkered flag on the season. They've been close numerous times in the last couple months, and now tonight they've got the front row as that iRacing Chevrolet Silverado pace truck going to make the left-hand turn to pit road and leave it in the hands of the drivers. Race 13 of the season here tonight at Charlotte. Twilight settles in on this mile-and-a-half. Flagman has the green flag in hand, and it is waving.
Green flag is out for Cooley, and Cooley gets a good start in that Sim Seats Chevrolet. Good start, and Dulaney on the inside of Phillip. He might be able to clear him coming out of turns 1 and 2. He will. Now Jurgensen in the 31 is going to make a move. That high side, I forgot to mention this on the grid, that high side is extremely slow on these restarts, Seth. It's really hard to get going up there.
Shorter way around the racetrack, certainly the fastest way as the tires are cooled down and have the optimal grip. Third position looks like it will go to Jurgensen. Woo! Slides up, and Agno Phillip might have tagged the wall there, Kyle. It was hard to tell. It was a sheet of paper in between the right side of that truck and the outside wall if there was no contact made.
Very close call. I'm looking back at it now, Seth. Phillip coming off turns 3 and 4. Yeah, you can fit a magazine between his truck and the wall. Very close for the 94, but very good driving to keep it off of the wall and off his competitors right there. Currently hanging out in the 4th spot.
Nice save by him. Another nice save as well by Christopher Hill. Saw him try the inside against Nathan Jurgensen into turn 1 last time by. Got really loose. That thing nearly stepped out on him, but he was able to keep it back in the throttle, get the noise pointing in the right direction. Up until this point, no caution, but a couple of drivers with some near scares in the first 3 miles of this race.
And just those cold tires right there, Seth. These drivers driving maybe a little too hard on those cold tires and pushing their luck. But once these tires warm up a little bit, I think things are going to calm down quite a bit, as they already kind of are, as this field is single filing out.
They have single filed all the way back to around the 10th position. That's where you've got Tyler Bentley making his first start in the season. He just made a pass on Jamie Knopf, so move him up into the top 10 position. Up ahead, possible move, that's Dalton Collins, the 85, who I believe he is making his first start of the season as well. Got a couple of trucks that you're going to see have differing numbers from what you see on the ticker. We've got it listed as the 85 for Dalton Collins. He's in the 95 on your screen. Second place running Jonathan Delaney. You'll see him on the grid as the 12, but he is the 6. So just bear that in mind, that the numbers aren't necessarily going to correlate from grid to what is on the side of the trucks.
You know, a lot of drivers are participating in a lot of stuff on iRacing, so I would have to guess these drivers were in possibly other leagues and had these numbers on their machine. Sorry for the confusion, but you're talking about Delaney. Delaney drove up to the 00 of Cooley's, began to fall back a little bit, falling into the clutches of Jurgensen, and here comes Phillip. Phillip might even put 2 tires in the red. He's always trying to make a pass in the grass. I think he got in the grass right there going into turns 1 and 2, and the number 94 putting on a show on the inside.
Got on board with him maybe just a little bit too late, but we certainly can see the hand motion trying to save that race car. There's a huge difference in grip when you've got your left sides in the grass and your right sides on the pavement. You're going to have a little bit of wheel spin on one side of the race car, and that's going to want to make it spin through this crooked front straightaway. But we sometimes see drivers, they will go down to literally the cutting edge of that inside area on the front straightaway to try and make as much time as possible. Sometimes they may overstep that edge just a little bit, and I think especially as we get closer to the end of this race, you're going to see that level, that margin for error get closer and closer, especially if there might be a checkered flag on the line.
Drivers really pushing it. You're talking about how Charlotte's usually in the middle of like a lot of these seasons for leagues on iRacing and in real life as well, just in the smack dab in the middle or near the center of the season. It's one of those crown jewel tracks. Charlotte here is a staple of the iRacing service. It's one of the few tracks that you get for free that's NASCAR sanctioned. So it's a big staple of the service, not just because of its oval, but because of its road course as well. So this is a very big track, and a lot of drivers would love to win here, Seth.
Now, there was a driver that you were looking at in qualifying. We were a little surprised that we didn't see him starting up towards the front of the field. It's kind of been a mainstay for the last couple of weeks to see Christopher Hill start towards the rear of the field and make his way up towards the front slowly and methodically. Well, Hill qualified 6th tonight and currently runs in the 5th position. It's his Legacy Esports teammate, Christopher Pfeffer, who did not have the qualifying effort here tonight. Started back in 17th, but man, he has made a pretty quick charge up inside the top 10 already. Just took the 10th position from Tyler Bentley about a lap ago as we got a truck on pit road. That's the 8 of Braxton DeWeese.
And Phillip going for a pass in the grass again. Oh my goodness, I don't know how he's making that grass work. He must be practicing for Knoxville in a couple of weeks. That number 94 clears Delaney, jumps up to the high side right in front of him. That 94 is putting in some work.
And much like at the other mile-and-a-half racetracks, it's a blue line here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, but that just shows the boundary difference between the racing surface where the banking is and the apron. It is not considered out of bounds, so you could put 2 wheels, 4 wheels down in the grass if you want here on the front straightaway. It does not count as a penalty. It is rather risky, though.
Very risky, really working that wheel, but if you're able to make up time, as long as you're able to keep that truck straight, so whatever does you best, I guess, in that situation.
Now, obviously, iRacing try and make the tracks as realistic as they possibly can, and I'm sure you've got experience here, Kyle. Is there like an elevation difference from the grass to the asphalt? I mean, if you go down there, do you feel the truck kind of bogged down?
I don't necessarily feel it bogged down, but it's kind of like, it's a little bunny hop almost. You're kind of like just giving a little hop. Like what he's doing right there, barely putting those left side tires in there, he's not quite getting that hop. But if he goes a little lower, he might hop and just spin it right around. So you have to be careful trying that move, especially on the second half of the tri-oval. In the red portion, in the first half of the tri-oval, that's all asphalt pretty much. That's not grass. That's just all asphalt pretty much right there. It's set up for the roval. But on the second half, coming out of the tri-oval, that is a very difficult place right there, and you can lose it very easily.
It was pretty cool. It might be a great sign for the end of this race. We have completed 13 laps, and you can throw a blanket still over our top 6. They are still nose to tail. Cooley has not been able to run away with this thing. Phillip, Delaney, Jurgensen, Hill, and Boyd Hogan all right there. Live telemetry says only half a second separating them, and now battle going to be for the 4th position, but nobody seems to be able to get away from anybody. It's almost kind of like pack racing here tonight for these trucks.
Yeah, I think a lot of these drivers are trying to take it a little easy on their tires. Like I was mentioning in pre-race, this is one of those tracks that has a lot of green flag runs. So some of these drivers might be taking it easy. As Phillip going to make a move to the inside of Cooley, and Cooley's going to give him plenty of room on the inside. Is he able to get the run off the corner and hang on to the spot?
Well, if he's not able to get the run off the corner, he may use that grass as his aid to be able to make a little bit shorter of a front straightaway. He's going to still have the inside advantage against Will Cooley as these guys are side by side. Jonathan Delaney trying to pick which lane he wants off of turn number 2. Give the spot clear to Agno Phillip. That'll be our first lead change of the night, halfway through our first stage.
Phillip back to the front. He started on the front row in the second spot. You saw him on the initial start of the race lose 4 spots right from the get-go. He's gotten back up here and has taken the race lead from Will Cooley as he's leading his first laps here today at Charlotte. Here comes Christopher Hill, by the way, underneath Jurgensen. He's been trying to complete this pass the last couple of laps. Just can't quite clear the 31.
That's for the 4th position as Jurgensen, a little wide off of 2, got very close to brushing that outside safer barrier. Hill continued to doggedly pin his Toyota down to that blue line in 3 and 4, getting pinched down by the 31. They'll stay side by side again. You're right, this battle side by side has been going on the last couple of laps, and look at this. Was that a little bump drafting maybe there with Boyd Hogan trying to line up the bumper with his Legacy Esports teammate?
I think it was. These Legacy Esport drivers really work together. Even some bump drafting at a speedway like Charlotte Motor Speedway, definitely risky, but that 96 has a lot of speed and he wants to get past these drivers as well. Hill just can't quite clear Jurgensen.
That is stacking them up too. Now Dalton Collins is up in this group. The 81 of Kyle Myers, former winner this season. He's also up here. So you've got 4th back to 8th now, separated by maybe at the most 4 truck lengths. Now we might go 3 wide. Look at Hogan. He might go 2 for the price of 1 as he'll swing around the outside of Jurgensen. Now alongside of his teammate Christopher Hill. That's a power move by the 96.
I was saying in pre-race how it's a multi-group racetrack, but that very high side doesn't usually work out. But I forgot that Boyd Hogan was in this race, obviously, because he just made that move work to perfection. As he's going to get past both of them, it looks like most likely going to clear his teammate Hill off turns 1 and 2 here.
We saw a few laps ago Braxton Louise bring his number 8 down pit lane. Sat on pit road for about 5-6 laps. Uncertain what the situation was, but it looks like, at least for the moment, he has exited the server. So Braxton DeWeese didn't even really get 10 laps in here tonight, at least at this point in time, and right now scheduled to finish in the 22nd position, last place here tonight. I mentioned the fact here when we were on the grid, a number of drivers up there in the point standings not in this evening's festivities. One of them, most notably, our Daytona winner, TJ Crampton, not in the field here tonight. Came into this race 51 points back, 3rd in the point standings. Another notable driver, Andrew Navarro, a 2-time winner this season. He was 7th in the point standings. He's not in the field. And maybe a couple of the most notable ones that are not in the field here tonight, Kevin Roy and John Theodore. Now, why is that important? Because those 2 drivers came into this race 9th and 10th in the standings, currently holding on to those final 2 live playoff positions. Guess who is in the field here tonight? Kyle Myers and Tanner Love, the top 2 drivers just outside the cut line looking in.
A lot of drivers going to be able to make up some points here today, and then some drivers are going to lose some points. You hate to see it for a driver like Braxton DeWeese. It looks like Boyd Hogan might have had some trouble on that back straightaway. I don't know what's going on with Hogan.
Yeah, he had some trouble, and then we nearly had Dalton Collins spin around in front of him in turn 3.
I saw him pull all the way to the inside on the back straightaway. Didn't think too much of it. He seemed to be really slow going through 3 and 4, and almost an incident with Collins you were mentioning there, Seth.
Maybe that truck got tight on him. I don't know if he brushed the wall or maybe got close to brushing the wall, had to bail out of the throttle, lost that momentum and felt it was safe to move to the inside and let the trucks that still had their momentum go in the right direction, let them on by, tuck into a safe spot, which he has now done. Back behind Kyle Myers, falls from 5th back to 7th position.
Boyd Hogan just needs to gather it up and get back to it and try to get back up there at the top 5, top 3. He was one of the quicker trucks on the racetrack before that had happened. He just made a pass on Christopher Hill just a few laps before.
Battle on for second place. Jonathan Delaney on the rear deck lid of pole sitter Will Cooley has about a truck length and a half separation for the race leader. Now maybe about 2.5 truck lengths. Agno Phillips starting to create a little bit of daylight between himself and the rest of the field. But again, we got that caution, that guaranteed caution coming up at the completion of lap 30, the end of the stage. And right now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the top 3 are all part-time drivers, so whatever stage points they would get would not count towards the championship. That makes it very important for Christopher Hill running that 4th position.
Here comes Hill. He's trying to get in that 3rd spot. He's going to clear Delaney, sends it in there. Delaney's going to follow in right behind him in the number 6 machine. Now the number 99 of Hill sets his sights on the 00 of Will Cooley in that red, white, and blue sim seats machine out in front of him.
Kyle Myers right now would be the 2nd highest running driver that is getting points. Right now he runs in the 6th position. Boyd Hogan just behind him. Oh, and now Kyle. It's hard to tell if that truck just got loose or if he may have brushed the wall. A little bit of a shimmy there off the 2nd corner, and I thought for a moment he might pull low like we saw Boyd Hogan do a couple of laps ago.
Yeah, definitely a very close call for Myers. Looked like he got very close to the wall and just freaked himself out a little bit, it looked like, in the number 81 machine. Didn't get the wall, just maybe freaked himself out a little bit and trying to gather it up now. It looks like Hogan's going to clear him off the corner here.
One driver that I think is certainly going to make an adjustment under this upcoming stage caution, maybe Nathan Jurgensen. Jurgensen started this race from the outside of row 2. He has slowly been free-falling through the field, now in a battle for 8th with Tanner Love. So I don't know if it might have been that near brush with the wall that we saw that may have upset his truck, or just that he's not happy with the way that thing is handling in the early going. But no doubt they'll probably take a big swing at adjusting that truck when the stage yellow comes out. I'm also noticing that Kyle Myers ended up letting Boyd Hogan on by just a moment ago and has lost touch with the 96. So as the run goes on, we're starting to see drivers are beginning to struggle with these race machines.
I'm going to check the times at the line and see who might be the quickest drivers out of this top 10 here. A lot of these drivers' tires are really beginning to fall off at this point in the run, right before the end of the stage. And the quickest in the top 10 that last time by looked like it was Christopher Hill, the number 99 with a 31.87. Comparing it to Phillip, who's in the lead, he ran a 31.91. And the slowest out of the top 10 that last time by looked to be Tanner Love, the number 28, running a 32.18 back there at the 9th position.
Mentioned the fact that we're running under twilight conditions, so we may end up completing this race in darkness. We'll see if that is the case, but you see that ambient temperature, track temperature, not a whole lot of difference, only about 7 degrees, but we talked about the lap times falling off. We would see right there, look at the wheel motion on board here with Christopher Hill, back, forth, to try to make sure that the back end, the rear housing of that truck stays planted and doesn't come around on them. I mean, these guys right at the moment, they are struggling to find grip. A little surprised, man, there's a big save right there on board with Christopher Hill. I'm a little surprised that we're seeing this much slipping and sliding around when there's not really that much heat in the racetrack, at least not like we're used to seeing. And there's the stage yellow.
Caution flag is out. Christopher Hill was barely able to get in front of the 00 before that caution had came out. Christopher Hill going to get 2nd place stage points for that. Next on stage points, I think, would be Boyd Hogan back in the 6th place, because those 4 out of the top 5 drivers are not competing for points, if I'm not mistaken.
That would be correct. Hill, Hogan, Myers, Love, and Pfeffer, I believe, are the drivers inside the top 10 that are going to get stage points. As Agno Phillip comes around to pick up the iRacing pace truck. The 21 drivers that take this caution, all of them on the lead lap, so we're not going to have any driver have to take the free pass here under this caution. And since we mentioned the departure out of the server by Braxton DeWeese, we have not seen him return. So at least for the time being, it's safe to say that he is going to be our first retiree from tonight's event. So these drivers will come down pit road. Interesting that these guys are, after they come down pit lane and more than likely put on a set of tires, they've only got 2 more sets available to them for the remainder of this race. And we only ran 30 laps there and saw a lot of drivers really slipping and sliding around. So something tells me those 2 extra sets they've got on pit road, they are going to be crucial in the closing stages of this one.
Your tires are going to be huge here today, Seth. Those drivers on that last run, on the 30 lap run we just had fallen off almost 2 whole seconds off their quickest lap time. So tires are going to make a huge difference, and it could decide the winner of this race depending on how strategy, green flags, and caution flags go throughout the night.
Driver who picked up the most spots on that green flag run was Christopher Pfeffer. Picked up 7 spots from 17th up to 10th. Driver who lost the most spots was Nathan Jurgensen. He dropped from 4th back to the 9th position as battle off of pit road. Looks like it
Hill.
could be. It was. You're right. Christopher Hill able to just barely get out ahead of Agnil Phillip, and we saw Christopher Hill did a pretty good job of working his way up from 6th to eventually 2nd in that 30-lap segment. Now he's going to have clean air on the nose. Be interesting to see if that truck's going to be able to drive away from the rest of the competition or not once we get the green flag back in the air.
Great pit stop from that number 99 crew, and great job getting off of pit road from Hill. Just really putting the pedal to the metal as much as you can, really pushing the limit on that speed limit, and able to barely edge Phillip off pit road by probably mere thousandths or hundredths on that right there. Going to see if the lights are going to go out on the pace car this time by and see which lane Hill decides on.
Now, Christopher Hill would have obviously had the 6th pit stall with his qualifying effort. Agnil Phillip, with the benefit of starting the front row, would have had the 2nd pit stall. And I've heard it said that, you know, it's great to be able to have that number 1 pit stall because you don't have to worry about avoiding anybody when you're coming off pit lane, or at least have a pit stall up towards the front. But really, the closer you are to that commitment line for pit road exit, the more chance you have of not being able to get the launch you need to be able to beat the rest of the competitors to that line. And I think that might have been why Hill got the advantage. He was able to have a little bit longer of a launch, didn't have nearly as much wheel spin to contend with as Agnil Phillip did.
Hill able to get on pit road safely and securely in the top spot, the number 99 machine. Agnil Phillip will restart on his high side in the 2nd spot. Right behind him in row number 2, you have Will Cooley in 3rd, and then restarting on the high side of him is the number 85 of Dalton Collins, who's looking very strong here tonight at Charlotte. But don't forget about Boyd Hogan in that 5th place, Seth. I think he has probably the strongest truck on a long run. He's proven it throughout the season that he's really good on those long runs.
I would agree with you on that. He's going to have Jonathan Delaney to his outside to complete the 3rd row. Kyle Myers, Nathan Jurgensen, Tanner Levin, Tyler Bentley. They're going to be the top 10 on this restart. A point of interest, Christopher Pfeffer, who had worked his way up into the top 10 there at the end of the 1st stage. A little bit of an extended pit road stop for him. I don't know if it was for damage repair or what, but he spent about another 7 seconds longer than everybody else up inside the top 15. Subsequently, he's going to restart back in the 15th spot. So we'll see the 66 try and work his way from back to front once again as his teammate Christopher Hill brings us down to the restart zone, and we are back underway here tonight at Charlotte.
Good restart from Hill. Now watch that high side. That high side, it's really hard to get going on this restart. We're going to see Phillip and Collins really try to battle on that high side, and most likely Cooley will be able to clear Phillip off the corner. We'll have to see here. Very close, but not quite able to. Good job from Phillip. Definitely an improvement from the last restart. But as this is happening, Hill is kind of already checking out, already a couple of truck lengths ahead.
Yeah, he is opening up the gap very quickly. 3 truck lengths, 4 truck lengths now to the start-finish line as the battle will still be for 2nd. To your point, credit Agnil Phillip on that top side, able to hang tough with Will Cooley. Might lose touch with him here in 1 and 2. Now he'll be in a side-by-side battle for 3rd. That's Boyd Hogan in the 96 to drivers left.
I would really like to see Phillip be on the inside for one of these restarts, because it seems like he's really going to be struggling these first couple of laps, kind of like how he did last time, trying to get himself back up there. He might have the fastest truck out here tonight, but we'll have to see how luck works out for him for the remainder of the race. The battle continues for 2nd as Collins is putting on the pressure on Phillip for 4th.
2 rows of 2 here, 2nd back to the 5th position. Then Jonathan Delaney, Kyle Myers looking on. Looks like Phillip going to lose the spot to Collins. Collins took a peek maybe for 3 wide. Instead, rides in the tire tracks of Boyd Hogan, who appears to maybe clear Cooley off of 4. I think he might have gotten a little loose there. Got those left sides down on that blue line. Almost pushed up into Cooley, who in turn almost got the outside wall. So even with fresh tires, these guys appear to still be slipping and sliding around.
Yeah, when you're on that blue line coming out of some of the exits of these corners here, it gets your truck really loose, and that's what happened with Hogan that last time by through 3 and 4. Got very loose out of the corner, and he killed all of his exit speed. Cooley was able to stay on the high side. Hogan has now cleared that double zero, trying to set his sights on the number 99 of his teammate Christopher Hill, who's almost a second out ahead after all this battling.
Keep an eye on the lap time between those two, see if Boyd Hogan's going to be able to reel him in. Dalton Collins now going to move into the 3rd spot, slides right across the nose of Will Cooley. So Cooley drops back the furthest he's been all day, P4. Agno Phillip, he's under fire. Here comes Kyle Myers in the 81. He'll complete that pass before they even get to the center of 3 and 4.
Yeah, Phillip at this point, since he's not up there in the 1st or 2nd position, I feel like right now he's just kind of taking it easy on those tires. He knows that we're probably going to get a long green flag run, so he's going to save those tires for later in the run, or possibly even pull some strategy. You're mentioning, Seth, how they have limited amount of tires for tonight's race, only 2 more sets of tires for the remainder of the race, so that could be on his mind as well.
Boyd Hogan, last couple of laps has been a tick quicker than Christopher Hill. He's also got the benefit on the back straightaway of maybe getting a little bit of draft with the lineup behind him of Dalton Collins and Will Cooley as they continue to run nose to tail. And yeah, you can even see visibly that gap is closing up. So Christopher Hill going to enjoy the view for the moment, but might not want to look in his rearview mirror because he might have company in the next lap or two.
Yeah, that last time by, he was the slowest driver in the top 5. Not by much. They were all within 600ths of each other. But still, those hundredths, if you keep on cutting it down, he's going to cut it down by 10th by 10th, and he's going to be there very soon. Boyd Hogan, we know how fast he is on the long runs.
Christopher Pfeffer, we mentioned, restarted back in 15th, that extended stop on pit road. He's back up to where he finished the first stage, 10th position, and now trying to put some pressure on his teammate Tanner Love for the 9th spot. Boyd Hogan obviously comes into this race as your points leader by benefit of the 3 victories he's had this season, also a couple of stage wins along the way. Christopher Pfeffer right now 2nd in the point standings, only 12 points back. He's got 2 wins to his credit, and statistically he has been the most consistent driver in terms of finishes because he has 8 top 10s, which ties him with TJ Crampton and Boyd Hogan for the most this year, but he leads all drivers in top 5s, 8 top 5s there. So every finish he's had inside the top 10 has been up inside the top 5. That's why he's there, still being able to challenge teammate Boyd Hogan for the overall points lead.
Yeah, Pfeffer's had a very strong and consistent season in the number 66 machine, so it's a little odd to see him not quite struggling, but not where we would expect him to be at this point in the race, running in that 10th position still. But he has gotten himself up from 15th to 10th since that restart, but that's the highest he's gotten all day is 10th.
Gap right now between race leader Christopher Hill back to Boyd Hogan and Dalton Collins, about 0.3 of a second. And now the 96, I believe, is within range to be able to get a little whiff of draft off the back of the 99. So I think they're going to reel him in very quickly here. Let's see what kind of momentum Boyd Hogan's going to get. So we've seen him make a couple of passes here since we went back racing down on the inside of turn 3. And if he gets close enough, he might be able to set it up right here on this lap.
I don't think he's going to be quite close enough this lap, but if he's able to continue what he's doing, he most likely will be there within the next 2 or 3 laps. Going to be, he got a little loose there in 3 and 4. Once again, all over that blue line on the exit of the corner. That's going to make your truck very upset.
These guys battle for the race lead. Got a couple good battles going on inside of the top 10. Tanner Love, Nathan Jurgensen, and Christopher Pfeffer all lined up nose to tail, along with Tyler Bentley in the 55. That is from 8th back to the 11th position. At least for the time being, though, no moves being made. And I think right now we've kind of got slow battles generating, but nothing really taking form because, as you pointed out, a lot of drivers expecting that this thing is going to go green maybe the rest of the way. We've seen this happen quite a number of times here in the last month where we've not seen a caution outside of the stage yellow. So these drivers now trying to preserve those tires. And I think that's a great idea just based on how we saw so many drivers struggling with the rear end handling of their trucks there near the end of that stage.
It's going to be all about saving tires for the remainder of this race. I'm thinking it's just really all about those tires. You want to be strong on those longer runs. Take it easy in those first couple of laps. Keep yourself out of trouble, and then maybe you can go a little harder. Maybe you can take it easy for a little bit longer, and you can be someone like maybe what Philip's doing, because Philip's taking it super easy this whole run. I would expect him maybe at the end of this run to make some moves. Cooley got real tight off the corner that last time. I mean, Collins got real tight off the corner that last time by, and Cooley was able to make a pass.
Yeah, you can visibly see he had to bail out of the throttle. Cooley took advantage, jerked the wheel hard left, and makes the pass to get back up into the podium third place. Now Collins, his troubles aren't over. Here comes Kyle Myers in the 81. And, you know, we end up starting to talk about drivers planning for green flag pit stops. It's time to have that conversation, Kyle. What's the difficulty level these drivers going to have to deal with? That high banking down to the flat apron to get onto pit lane.
Charlotte is definitely a difficult pit road, but it's definitely not as difficult as a track like Dover, for example. Definitely a difficult pit road coming off of the banking, but as long as you time it right, you should be okay. You have to make sure you get under speed, of course, and I'd say it's a pretty difficult exit to pit road as well, because there is a bump coming right off of pit lane if you're too low, and coming onto the track, there's also a bump there as well. So if you hit the gas a little too hard, you can get a little squirrely. I've personally spun it out in the next gen car. I haven't spun it out in the truck, but it's a little more difficult than most pit road exits, I would say.
And Dalton Collins now, I don't know what's going on with that truck. Obviously, as you mentioned, getting tight off of turn 2, so maybe that problem continues to exacerbate the longer we go on, but he has now dropped back to the 7th spot. Kyle Myers got around him. Agno Phillip got around him. Jonathan Delaney completed the pass last time by. So the 95 struggling at this point in time, and drivers that would love to be able to capitalize as well. About 5 truck lengths behind him include Tanner Love and Nathan Jurgensen. Now, I know there's obviously a huge difference in grip level and track surface between Charlotte Motor Speedway and the Atlanta Motor Speedway, but it is a D-shaped oval, much like Texas Motor Speedway as well. So if we kind of went back there and tried to look at a driver that's good at the D-shaped configuration tracks this season, we go back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Our race winner there is not in the field Kenny Brady, but Agno Phillip was the runner-up finish there. We saw him strong in the early going of this race, starting on the front row. Looks like he's starting to make forward progress once again, trying to get around both Kyle Myers and Will Cooley, who are side-by-side for the 3rd spot. So maybe a lot of eyes looking in the direction of that 94 truck, who also had some very good lap times in practice.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching Phillip. He seems like he has a lot of speed, but just has had a bad break by restarting on the front row on that high side for both the start and the restart that we had. And it's good to compare this track to Atlanta. Atlanta, of course, still on the old surface on the iRacing service. So it's a lot more similar to Charlotte than the current version of Atlanta that they run in real life. But it's also the fact that they're all 3 of them are different now. I remember when I was a kid, Charlotte, Texas, and Atlanta were all extremely similar in many ways. We're having some great battles actually all of a sudden happening here on the racetrack for 3rd and 5th. Looks like Christopher Pfeffer has retired from the race as well, Seth.
Yes, indeed. You're right. 66 has come down pit lane and made the left-hand turn to the garage, as has Corey Hassler. And you were talking about that battling there for 3rd place on back. That was because things got wadded up. Kyle Myers got a piece of the wall off of turn number 2.
Here comes Phillip. He's going to make that pass for 3rd. Strutting his stuff. Was taking it pretty easy at the beginning portion of this run. But now we're around almost 25, 30 laps into this run at this point. He's picking it up a notch. He's up to 3rd, looking to drive away from Delaney and Myers as they begin to battle it out for the 4th spot now.
Myers really high there on the racetrack. Also noticed Dalton Collins up there as well. I mean, is that something that a driver has to do to maybe try and fix whatever the unequal balance of the truck is? I mean, we saw Collins lose a number of spots. We saw Kyle Myers get the wall moments ago. Maybe kind of experimenting of, well, my truck doesn't handle the way I was driving it before. I've got to do something different.
Yeah, I think that's just experimenting and trying things out. Some of these tracks on the iRacing service, once you get 15 or 20 laps on your tires, that inside lane begins to fall off a little bit, and that high side really picks up. I don't feel like Charlotte is one of those racetracks, but it's always good to experiment and see what you can and can't do.
We were focused for a while on the potential battle for the race lead. It was looking like Boyd Hogan and company were closing in on Christopher Hill, but we haven't really covered it in the last few laps or so because nothing's really happened. It was 0.3 of a second from Hill back to Boyd Hogan, but nothing's changed much. It's still 0.3 between those two. A little surprised that Boyd Hogan has not been able to reel in his teammate, especially with, as you pointed out, it seemed like Hogan had the best truck on the long run during that first stage.
I'm always confused when it comes to these drivers because they do like to take their brakes on their tires and really just stop and chill them out. So I feel like that could be a possibility here, a little game of chicken between these two drivers, because I was noticing when Hogan got up to Hill, Hill all of a sudden picked up his pace a little bit for 2 or 3 laps, and Hogan slowed it down a little bit. I think Hogan saw that Hill started to pick up his pace when he got to him and just decided to chill his tires out possibly before we get these green flag pit stops. Maybe try to make a run right before we get to pit stops.
Well, Christopher Hill here tonight will more than likely move up into the top 3 in the point standings with TJ Crampton not on the grid here tonight. So the likelihood of leaving Charlotte with a Legacy Esports 1, 2, 3 in the standings looks pretty good. And right now, with those 3 drivers, Hogan, Pfeffer, and Hill, they've got a combined 7 victories. If either Hogan or Hill go to victory lane here tonight, that would bring the total for those 3 drivers up to 8. But as mentioned, Christopher Pfeffer will not be taking checker flag here tonight. A little curious of what possibly went on there with the 66, because not only did he seem to have a truck that was able to make good forward progress, had the poor qualifying effort, got himself up into the first stage inside the top 10, and then had a bad pit stop, worked his way back up into the top 10 again. I'm not exactly certain what happened to put him back in the garage area, but it's not only going to hurt his chances for win number 3 on the night, it's going to more than likely allow Boyd Hogan to open up the points gap a little bit more heading into next week.
I'm looking back at it, and it looked like he might have been struggling for a few laps, Seth, and he actually got the wall out of turns 2 while battling with the number 55.
Oh, we got a spinner! Almost. Tanner Love almost looped it around in front of Will Cooley. What a save. Green remains out.
Phenomenal save. Oh my goodness, that could have been really bad between those 2 drivers. Both really fast drivers, top 5, top 10 vehicles here tonight. Able to keep it straight for now, but you know that had to have scorched his tires there.
Sure, as he's going to lose the 9th spot, it looks like, to Daniel Simmons and drop back to the 10th spot, but tremendous job there by Tanner Love to get that thing out of its drift and back in the right direction. Also credit to Will Cooley as well, because it's very difficult as a driver to gauge whether or not that truck in front is actually going to gather it up or spin around. Backed off enough to allow Tanner Love to get that thing gathered up and keep going. That was really close. And man, we got some blocking going on down the back straightaway here. Phillips showed the nose to the inside. Boyd Hogan slammed the door.
I was about to say something there, Seth. Phillip has been flying the last few laps. He had a run on the high side there, and then he jumped down to the inside of Hogan, and Hogan threw a gnarly block to the inside. Here goes Phillip. Gonna put 2 left side tires on that blue line coming through the tri-oval, and he's gonna clear the 96 going into turns 1 and 2. Phillip really strong on this long run. It looked like saving those tires at the beginning of the run really paid off for the number 94 as he sets his sights to the number 99 of Hill, who's led this whole run so far.
Yeah, we thought Boyd Hogan was going to be the guy to get up there and take the race lead away from Christopher Hill. It might be that 94 truck who was back in the 6th position, I believe, at one point. He has worked his way on up now to the runner-up spot, and you can see visibly pulling away from Boyd Hogan. He is on our telemetry, closing in on Christopher Hill. Even despite the fact he was battling with Boyd Hogan that last time by, he ran almost an equal lap time to the 99. And now Boyd Hogan continuing to lose spots. Now Delaney's going to go to the inside. So Boyd Hogan, all of a sudden, that truck falling off a bit. Is that a case of him having handling problems, or he's realizing that saving those tires are very important with the way that 94 just blew his doors off?
It could possibly be handling problems for that 96, but I'm saying I think it's more likely that he might have just used up those tires, which I don't think I've said once this season. Hogan really used up those tires possibly on this run, because he fell back pretty quickly from Hill, and Phillip was able to get past him. Delaney's able to get past him. And now Collins putting the pressure on the number 96. And he's very loose on the inside that time. Collins right on his bumper off the corner.
Agnell Phillip, 0.6 of a second off of Christopher Hill for the race lead. We continue to watch this battle for third place, and just about everybody still remains committed to the bottom, with the exception of, you saw that 81 of Kyle Myers. We saw him make the adjustment there after he got into the wall about 15 laps ago. He has been running the top side through 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and it's actually been working out for him. He's been making up some pretty good ground, and Dalton Collins now on pit lane in the 95. This is with 68 laps to go. Don't know if this is a regularly scheduled stop or not. I know I've seen him close to the wall a couple of times off of 2. Don't know if this might be to come down and repair some needed, get some needed damage repair, or if this is indeed scheduled.
Could possibly be a scheduled stop here, Seth. Maybe trying to get in there a little early before these other competitors. And maybe we'll begin to see the dominoes fall. Situations like this, drivers tend to follow and try to get on the same strategy of tires.
Battle still going to be for that third position, as Phillip does continue to close in on Christopher Hill, but based off of the amount of time it's taken him to close up 2/10, he won't be on Christopher Hill's back bumper for maybe another 5 to 7 laps, and they both might be on pit road before we even get to that point. Dalton Collins down and away, but he is going to lose a lap as a result. And I'm keeping an eye on this battle for third place, because that 6 truck of Delaney did not look too happy the last couple of times he ran the bottom. Got that left front down on that paint line there, that blue paint line, and it looked like the rear end of the truck kept wanting to come around. I think he realized that as well. Yielded the third spot to Hogan, and man, look at that, drifting off of turn 2. Delaney's definitely got his hands full.
Jonathan Delaney racing that truck like Kyle Larson right now, just sideways through these corners of the number 12 machine. Good job hanging on to it out of 2 especially. Got completely sideways, able to keep it straight, running in that 4th spot, but Kyle Myers beginning to close him down in the number 81 machine by using that high side, able to make that high side work. I haven't seen anybody able to really do it to this point.
Delaney is not the only driver here on this run that has had a drift moment. I've noticed a couple of times over in 3 and 4, a little plumes of smoke lingering over there. Nobody has completely looped it around, obviously, with no caution since we completed the first stage, but there has obviously been a couple of times that drivers have had some heart-stopping moments over in the final couple of corners, nearly looping the thing around. So these drivers continuing to fight the racetrack, fight each other, and fight the handling of their trucks. How about the fight for the race lead? Agnell Phillip is finally there. He's got Christopher Hill in his sights.
Yeah, that last time by, Agnell Phillip was almost 2 whole tenths quicker than race leader Christopher Hill, as Hill's struggling with handling. In 3 and 4, got a little loose on entry, seems to really be struggling off the corner as well. Phillip is there, he's going to make a move to the inside. Hill's going to try to throw the block. 94 came very close to the grass. I don't know if he got into the grass, but he's going to complete the pass on the number 99.
Nothing that Hill could do there as Agnell Phillip swings around for the race lead, and now he will look to set sail in that clean air. It's a long ways back before you get to the third place battle, still ongoing between Boyd Hogan and Jonathan Delaney. And now that Hill has been passed by Phillip for the race lead, you've got to wonder if maybe Christopher Hill may be the first driver to wave that white flag of surrender and begin this green flag pit stop cycle.
You'd have to think that, Seth. That tends to happen a lot in races like this. Once you get past, you don't want to get passed by anybody else. You don't want to lose any more spots or any more time. So you want to be the first one to come down pit road. We'll have to see if that happens with the number 99 of Hill, as all the leaders are still going to skip past pit road for now here on lap number 73 of 134 here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
And we had the stage caution come out at the completion of lap 30, so we never got a clear idea of just what the fuel window is for these drivers, how far they could stretch it. If they were looking to possibly split this final stage in half, if that is possible, they've got 61 laps to go right now, 42 laps completed, so we would be seeing them on pit road within the next 10 laps or so. We'll see if they can stretch it that far or not.
One driver I've really been keeping my eye on is that 31 of Jurgensen. He was back in 10th a few laps ago. He's been taking it super easy. Honestly, since the start of this race, has just completely backed off for the most part. And now he's really kind of putting on the jets. Almost had an incident that last lap with the 81. Came close to getting him in the door. Oh, Delaney sideways again. Saves it again out of turn 2. Oh my goodness, Jonathan Delaney is playing with fire in that number 12 machine.
He might want to think about coming to pit road pretty soon. And one guy that's showing the benefit of those new tires is Dalton Collins. Now, he was a lap down after making that pit stop. Look at this. He's about to unlap himself under green flag conditions. He's driven up past the top 5, says sayonara to the race leader, and just like that, that pass puts the 95 back on the lead lap. So I think that's going to turn a lot of drivers' heads to try and be the first one to leapfrog the field heading onto pit road.
And Dalton Collins right now putting down laps that are a second and a half quicker than race leader Agnell Phillips. So he's making up a lot of time right now in that number 85 machine. But the later half and the later part of the next run, he's really going to be struggling with speed and handling.
This says to me that at least one driver has elected possibly a two-stop strategy here in this final stage. Everybody else appears to be committed to a one-stop strategy. Maybe a little bit surprised that we didn't see more drivers maybe elect the two-stop strategy here. Try a little bit of experimentation.
Honestly, with a track like this, I can see a two-stop strategy actually paying off. There's certain tracks where I just really don't think it's going to work. But Charlotte, I think it's possible he can pull it off. You see how much speed he has compared to Phillip. And if he puts that together, if he puts it all together and doesn't make any mistakes on pit road, we could possibly see that number 85 in victory lane here tonight off the two pit stop strategy.
Got a theory here, as we mentioned, that this race started twilight, is more than likely going to end in maybe the start of darkness here. We've seen a lot of drivers really loose off the corner. Delaney especially has had a couple of near moments, but could it be the case that these drivers had their trucks set up for the later nighttime conditions and basically said, you know, we're just going to try and hang on with the slicker track conditions with the sun beating down it. We're starting to see the shadows creeping in here. The track is completely almost bathed in darkness now. The cooler temperatures are going to settle in, and maybe now these drivers will have the setup and have the grip, have the handling that they were looking for that they didn't have in the early stages.
Well, we're going to have to throw out that two-stop strategy away because something very weird just happened. Dalton Collins has exited the race manually, but he was driving on the back straightaway and his truck just disappeared off the track, almost like someone else had exited the race for him. Very, very peculiar situation right there. Collins had a great shot of possibly ending up in victory lane tonight, but his race will end early.
That, to your point, takes away any possibility of knowing what the end result of a two-stop strategy would have been. We'll keep you updated on that. Might have possibly been a connection problem, but if indeed that is the end of the day for Dalton Collins, he'll finish 19th tonight, joining Christopher Pfeffer, Corey Hassler, and Braxton Luis back in the garage area. I just want to give a bit of a shout out and congratulations to Christopher Pfeffer. We didn't have the call last week at Texas Motor Speedway, but that's where he picked up his second win on the year, so congratulations to him. Obviously, he won't be winning here tonight. He'll be trying again next week at Worldwide Technology Raceway. We will not be here next week for that, but we will be back the following week, June the 8th, when these drivers are going to prepare for their second road course stop of the season, but first broadcasted here on FRN, as we'll be heading to the West Coast, wine country at Sonoma Raceway.
I love Sonoma. It's a difficult racetrack, but it's a lot of fun going through those S's. I really enjoy Sonoma, and there's no better last turn, I feel like, at a road course. That hairpin turn at the very end. If someone's a couple chuck lengths back and they really want to send it, guess what? They can send it, take you out, and get the win. Create some exciting racing.
Kyle Myers on pit road. He was slow off of turn 2 again that last time by, so apparently now throwing up the hand saying, all right, let's bring this thing down. Let's try and see if we can make an adjustment for the latter portion of this race so I can stop going up there and almost being on a first-name basis with the outside wall. And I think that we're going to see a lot more drivers now ducking on a pit road. Here comes Hill in the 99.
Christopher Hill going to come down pit road. fallen off the last few laps, has led a good amount of this race, making his first pit stop of the day. It looks like he's going to be joined by Knopf, Bentley, and it looks like Baloo is smoking his tires getting on pit road. He's on pit road as well, and Wesley Jennett is also on pit road.
Yeah, close call there for the 9 truck of Blue. I thought he might be looping it around for a brief moment, but he is going to safely make it onto pit lane. Agnew Phillip, he's going to now dive onto pit road. Little bit of a 4-wheel slide as he hits the commitment line. Oh, man, look at them locking up the tires. Delaney and Hogan both.
That was a very close call, and Hogan's speeding on pit road. I think he knew he was speeding on pit road, so he just said he's going to just speed the whole way. That way he can make up some time.
Costly mistake there for Boyd Hogan. And yeah, we've mentioned the fact that we've kind of had a trend here this season, especially in the last month or so, where we end up having the stage caution come out and then go green flag the rest of the way. I think a lot of these drivers realizing that this is potentially the money stop. You cannot have mistakes or else you're potentially going to throw this race away. And oh man, it looks like Boyd Hogan may actually now be being pushed back to the garage area. That's another Legacy Esports car that looked like it could have won this race that now is going to be making an exit with 50 laps to go.
This got to be a day of the dreams for Christopher Hill. Boyd Hogan's out of the race. Christopher Pepper is out of the race. And TJ Crampton isn't here. Christopher Hill is going to make up a whole bunch of points here tonight at Charlotte, especially if he ends up in victory lane.
Not sure if he could take the points lead. I'm not 100% certain just how many points max you can get in a race. He was 63 behind Boyd Hogan coming to this one. So I don't think he could necessarily take the points lead, but to your point, he will certainly be in the conversation for taking the points lead when these drivers get to next week's race at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Looking at the drivers on track and on their different tire strategies, only a lap or two can make all the difference in the world when it comes to these different tire strategies. Currently on the oldest tires out of the drivers up in the front 5 is Kyle Myers in that number 81 machine on 4-lap-old tires right now. And the newest tires out of that front 4 ends up being Agnew Phillip in the number 94 machine in the second position, pitting 2 laps after Myers, 1 lap after Hill. So we'll have to see how that plays out when this run continues.
Myers, who was the first one we saw on pit road, he is now 3rd place, trying to hold off Jonathan Delaney. Now, it looks like everybody that came down pit road in the last 5 laps or so, they should be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel. They were able to stretch even a little bit further past what I was expecting of splitting this final stage in half. The one driver I'm a little bit concerned about would be the 6th place running Richard Malugani. He came down pit road on lap 73. That was about 6 laps prior to where other drivers were projected to come down pit lane. So he might be hoping for a caution to save his race. I'm not certain if he can save that amount of fuel to the end. So we'll keep you updated on that driver who's playing some pretty good strategy, at least right now. But it may not pan out for him in the latter stage. He actually just lost another spot to Tanner Love, so he may be in major fuel conservation right now. As the battle for the lead is on, Agnew Phillip gonna blow right by Christopher Hill and go to the top spot.
That battle for the race lead ended about as quick as it started right there. Phillip able to get past Hill fairly quickly. Hill knowing that Phillip has a little more speed right now. He's on fresher tires than him. So he's going to let him go for now and take it easy on his tires. And hopefully he'll be able to come back later with the battle. But here comes Delaney in the number 12 machine. He got past Myers. He's now in the 3rd spot. He's on the same age tires as that number 94 Phillip. So watch for Delaney may be able to put a challenge for the win here tonight at Charlotte.
You see that we started out tonight's race with a track temperature of 85. We're now down to 82, and I really think that this 6 truck that we saw struggling in the early going, nearly looping it around a couple of times, I think that now as we settle into cooler track conditions, whatever he had for a setup, it is starting to take. He now closes in on Christopher Hill for that 2nd position. That Jonathan Delaney truck looking pretty speedy right now and maybe closing in on his first win of the season.
One thing that also could have happened with Delaney could be his setup, but it also could be just him getting off the corners a little too fast, maybe using up that right rear. I know I've had that happen to me before, where I've used up that right rear too much, and it just makes my car so uneasy, so loose, and that's possibly what had happened to that number 12 machine on that last run. So he has to make sure he's not using up that right rear.
Mention about Kevin Roy, John Theodore, 8th and 9th in points coming into this race. As the playoff points look right now, they would have had the final 2 spots. The 2 drivers first outside looking in, Kyle Myers and Tanner Love, well, they're doing what they got to do here tonight to get up there inside of a playoff position. Kyle Myers running right now in the 4th position. Tanner Love currently running in the 6th position. Great job by both of those drivers, and kind of working the calculator here as quickly as I possibly can. I believe as things stand right now, both of them would jump up above the cut line here tonight if they finish where they're currently at.
Yeah, both those drivers are having a very good run to try to get themselves into the top 10 point standings. And another driver that's having a decent run, hoping that maybe a caution comes out for strategy. You just mentioned him, Richard Malagani, comes into this race 15th in points, around 50 points behind the cut line. Cannot make up those points tonight, but definitely going to cut into that gap at least a little bit here tonight.
He is dropping, though. He had a big pack of trucks catch him there on the front straightaway, and he drops from 8th all the way back to 12th in the blink of an eye. Channing Ballou looking to the outside of Nathan Jurgensen. There's Jamie Knopf in the 48, now up to the 9th position. Matter of fact, both of the LA Motorsports trucks having great performances here tonight. Knopf in the 9th position, just a couple trucks up ahead is where you find Daniel Simmons. So these guys trying to preserve their spots up above the cut line. Simmons is 6th in points and Knopf is 5th in the standings. And we really haven't mentioned either one of them here this evening, but very good, consistent runs once again this week for both those drivers.
Very good run from both of those guys, really needing to get those points in those positions and really doing a good job of it. And hopefully they can keep up the night. But I wanted to note that they just turned the lights on here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, so let's kick it up a notch. We'll see how this track handles as the sun continues to go down. Just under 40 laps to go at this point in the race. Do we see a change in the racetrack before this race is over and done with?
We've got ourselves a change up at the front. Instead of Hill trying to reel in Agno Phillip, Jonathan Delaney got around the 99 for 2nd place moments ago, and he is the one now trying to reel in Phillip for the top position. Both of these drivers, as we mentioned, part-time drivers. They do not run for points. They are not running for the championship. They're out trophy hunting, but neither one of them have been able to capture a race win here this season. So it may come down here in 38 laps to who wants it more.
This could get real exciting real quick here, Seth. Delaney first has to get up there to Phillip. Phillip has been one of the stronger trucks throughout the night. Delaney's really going to have to put in some work, especially with them both on the same tire strategy. They have the same tires pretty much at this moment. Currently, Jonathan Delaney around 8/10 back of race leader Agno Phillip, with Christopher Hill in 3rd, Kyle Myers in 4th, and your pole sitter Will Cooley currently rounding out your top 5.
We had 22 drivers take the green flag to start tonight's race. 17 of them are still running, 15 on the lead lap. That may change in the next few laps here, as only about 3 seconds ahead is the 47 of Robert Anderson, last truck on the lead lap. We'll have to see if lap traffic does come into play in any way. I mean, there's a couple of trucks that look like they projected could fall off the lead lap before we take the checker. The aforementioned Anderson, not too far up ahead, you've also got Wesley Jeanette and Robert Tracy. So maybe some traffic that Agno Phillip will have to deal with, and that might help Jonathan Delaney in his quest to reel in the race leader.
Just that dirty air might affect the 94 enough, so where the 12, see, I'm even getting confused. The 12 will get up there to him. We'll have to see if he's even able to get up to the lap machine of Robert Anderson. Anderson putting down some pretty decent laps. The last time by was actually a little quicker than the race leader, Agno Phillip, by a couple of hundred. So we'll have to see if Phillip and Delaney are able to get up there to Anderson, if he's able to play any part into this finish. That last time by the way, Delaney caught up a whole 10th, only a half second now back of race leader Phillip.
Give a shout out to Tyler Bentley here tonight, making his first start on the season here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and he's had a very quiet but consistent day. Started from the 11th position, has been up inside of the top 10 pretty much the entirety of the day. I believe he finished 11th at the end of stage 1, and right now just riding in that 8th spot. A very calm, cool, collected race driver, it seems. He's been able to keep that truck off the outside wall, stay on the lead lap, so very nice debut there for the driver of the 55.
He's had a pretty strong day so far, Tyler Bentley in the number 55. A couple of good first-time runs in the field. Collins, before, of course, he exited early, unfortunately. Jeanette, he's been running pretty well. Wesley's been doing pretty well, been running in the top 15 throughout the night. So some good performances out there from some rookie drivers, Seth.
Jonathan Delaney last time by about 0.6 of a second off of Agno Phillips. So it's kind of hard to tell with the race leader whether they are in attack mode trying to preserve the gap back to second place, or if they are possibly trying to save a little bit in case they get reeled in, and then they can battle once the race for the lead is on. But in the case of Jonathan Delaney, obviously does not want to use up his stuff, so that way he has something at least to be able to contend with Agno Phillip if he gets to his back bumper. How are you as a driver? You look and you see, okay, there's 30 laps to go. I've got about 0.6 of a second between me and him. I've got to set a goal of chipping away this much each lap, so that way I'm going to not only be sure that I get to his back bumper in time to make a move, but I'm actually going to have enough grip and enough speed to be able to make said move against him.
I would honestly say the same thing for all three of these drivers. Maybe if Delaney and Hill were a little farther back, they could push it a little more. But I think the best thing you can do in this sort of situation, since all three of you are so close, they're all within 1.3 seconds of each other. Just race the racetrack and hope that the other drivers come to you, or they make a mistake. Maybe those last few laps really kick it up a notch, but just race the racetrack at this point. Still got 30 laps remaining.
20 laps into this stint pretty much for the top three, so have tires equaled out now? Is there no longer a tire advantage? It just comes down to the combination of how the truck handles and the driver's skill?
I think the tires have evened out a decent amount, but at the same time, if someone like Hill would have pushed it really hard right now and Phillip would have pushed it equally as hard, Hill would definitely fall off first. But I've been watching Hill this whole run. He's taken it super easy this run. That last time by, he was actually almost 0.2 quicker than race leader Admiral Phillip, just taking it really easy on those slightly older tires in the number 99 machine. And that's what you have to do for the remainder of this race. Take it easy, race the track, and hope those other two come to you in Christopher Hill's case.
Almost makes me wonder if he was already thinking about this kind of a scenario when we saw him get blown by for the race lead by Agno Phillip. There you saw, that's the 86 of Richard Malugani. We mentioned that it looked like he was the only driver that would not be able to reach the conclusion of this race without coming to pit road for fuel. Just moments ago, he came down, topped off the fuel tank, returned back to the track. He's going to be 2 laps down as a result. May get one of those laps back right here, as he's obviously got fresher tires than the other drivers around him, so he will be back to 1 lap down, joining Chuck Waldrop and Robert Shin as drivers off the lead lap. But also, we should bring this up, doesn't look like the case is going to be having another yellow flag come out, but just in case it does here, with a little less than 30 laps to go, Chuck Waldrop is currently in the free pass position.
I'm going to be watching Malugani. He's going to be making some moves, and most likely we'll get up to Shin and Waldrop before the end of this race. And we'll have to see how close he can even get to the leader on these a lot fresher tires. Let's just look at the lap times that last time by. That last time by, he was 1.1 seconds quicker than race leader Admiral Phillip, and he passed him on the high side that last time by. So a lot of speed on those fresh tires.
Take a look here from the onboard, race leader Agno Phillip. You can see Malugani just up ahead, but you'll also see 2 other trucks just in front of him. That's an ongoing battle for last truck on the lead lap between Robert Anderson and Robert Tracy. They've been side by side the last couple of laps for P13, so if they stay battling each other, that's going to be almost a wall for race leader Agno Phillip once he gets up to them.
We'll have to see what happens these next few laps between that number 47 and the 14, but I think the number 47 of Anderson might have a little more speed than Tracy does right now. Anderson pitting near the back half of that pit window that last time by, and Tracy came in on that first lap with Kyle Myers, actually, so he has a little older tires. You see him fall back from Anderson a little bit. You see him there on the corner of your screen, and Philip's catching him. Philip's going to catch both of these guys, I'm thinking, before this race is over and done with. So we'll have to see if lap cars play a factor into the finish here tonight at Charlotte.
Got a development taking place with another of the Legacy Esports drivers. Kyle Myers was running up inside of the top 5. All of a sudden, his name grayed out on my telemetry. It appears he may have fallen out. Don't know if that's a connection problem or not. I do not see his name lit back up on my scoring sheet, at least for the time being, so we'll update on that. But man, that's another of the Legacy Esports cars that looked like they were in line for a good performance here tonight, finding trouble.
Yeah, it looks like he may have lost connection here, Seth. I'm looking at the chat right now. It looks like he might have dropped. That's very unfortunate. Was having a decent run, running in the top 10, and was going to get a lot of points and possibly even end up in the top 10 in playoff points, ending up above that playoff window. And you hate to see it, especially with just so few laps left. If he gets back on track, there's no way he's going to get any of those laps back. It's very tough for the 81 machine, as the number 94 going to pass the lap car of Tracy with ease here.
He is indeed going to put the 14 in his rearview mirror. Now Delaney is going to have to deal with Tracy. Philip in a few moments is going to have to deal with Robert Anderson, the now last truck on the lead lap in the 12th position. And that's a tough break there in the case for Kyle Myers because, as mentioned, he was the driver that came into this race 11th in the point standings. Granted, he has a win this season, but it's not a win in your in playoff system. You have to race your way into the top 10 in the point standings by the end of the regular season to be eligible to be in the playoffs. And he was going to look to capitalize on John Theodore, Kevin Roy not taking the green flag here tonight. I'm not certain that a 17th place finish is going to cut it for him to be able to get above that cut line. So we'll find out all the fallout about that when we get to Gateway next week. But for now, that is a tough break for a guy that consistently all day long was running up inside, if not the top 5, the top 10.
Yeah, you hate to see it for Myers. Had a strong machine all race long and out of the race early here. You hate to see it, but you're mentioning how Roy was out of the race, and he's still going to make up some points on that top 10, but most likely will not end up in that top 10 when this race is over and done with.
Driver, it looks like right now that, and I kind of don't want to talk about him because I don't want to jinx him, that's Tanner Love. He now, because of Kyle Myers having the connection problems, moves up inside of the top 5. Starting to maybe reel in Will Cooley. That could be a 4th place battle here in the next couple of laps. But Tanner Love coming into this race, I believe was 24 points behind John Theodore. And so he's got a shot, I do believe, if he continues to run up here to the top 5, he would be up inside the top 10 in the point standings in a playoff spot by the time we leave here this evening. But he wants more positions. He is indeed closing in on Will Cooley, only about 2.5 truck lengths between him and the pole sitter.
I love putting the pressure on, trying to snag another spot before this race is over and done with. I've been watching Christopher Hill, though, the last few laps. He's been putting it on. He seems like he saved a little bit of his stuff. He's right on Delaney's bumper right now for the 2nd position. Looking to make a move in 3 and 4. He's going to go to the inside. Here comes the number 99 of Chris Hill. Gets a little loose, but he's going to keep it going. Delaney's completely sideways. A great save from the number 12 machine. It looks like Hill's going to clear him coming past the start-finish line. Does he have enough time to possibly get up to Philip? He's a little over a second back right now.
Christopher Hill looking for his 3rd win on the season, which would tie him for the most this year with teammate Boyd Hogan. He's going to have over a second to close up between himself and the 94 truck with less than 20 laps to go. But Christopher Hill, as you said, saving a little bit. Did he save enough? Does he have enough time? A lot of questions going to be answered here in the closing stages of tonight's race.
He might get a little help here. Anderson has not moved over for the 94. Going to give him some space here in 1 and 2, but he's been sitting in front of him the last 2 laps. Philip has not been able to make the move past him. Can Philip clear him off the corner? He will. He will get past the number 47, but he still has, it looks like, the number 74 of Wesley Jennett not too far in front of him as well.
Yeah, once he catches the 74 of Jennett, he should be clear of traffic for a little while. It's another 6 seconds before you get up to the 31 of Nathan Jurgensen. So we'll see just when Philip gets up there to the 74 truck, how quickly he can make work of that. Now putting the 47 in his rearview mirror, that's another truck that Christopher Hill is going to have to deal with before he can try and set his sights on the race lead. That last time by ran about 4/100ths of a second faster than Agno Phillip. I kind of think he's going to need a little bit more than that with the limited number of laps left in this race.
Yeah, he's going to need a little more than that if he wants to get up there and take the race lead from Phillip. But you're talking about Anderson. It's usually a lot easier for the driver on second on back to get past those lap cars. They usually put the fight to the leader a little bit more, hoping there's a caution flag that comes out before they get past. And you're going to see it right here. It looks like Wesley's going to move right out of the way of the number 94 of Phillip, going to get out of the way in turns 3 and 4. Can the 94 of Phillip coming out of the corner? He will. Because honestly, that's one of the big killers when it comes to passing lap cars, when you have to slow down your exit speed because it destroys your whole straightaway speed.
I love the onboards with the drivers, gives you an idea of just what's going on inside of the cockpit. It was looking like Christopher Hill, he was very easily reeling in Agno Phillip for the top position, but that steering wheel tells the story. I mean, just look at that orange tape there showing the centering of the wheel, especially off the corner. You see the hands jerk to the right. Look at right there, jerking to the right, counter steering that thing as it goes into a four-wheel slide, the back end sliding off of the corner. I mean, Christopher Hill, he is giving it all it's worth here, realizing that time is running out.
In the last couple laps, he has gained 0.2 on Agno Phillip, has cut it down from 1.1 to 0.9 of a second. Question is, does he have enough time? Does he have enough laps? Coming to 11 laps to go this time by, and Wesley's not going to get out of the way of Hill like he did the race leader. He's going to hold uphill a little bit here off the corner.
Kind of pinched him down a little bit through 3 and 4, now yields the inside to the 99. Christopher Hill should have him cleared, I believe, here down into 1 and 2. Now nothing but racetrack between himself and Agno Phillips. It equals out to about a second even. Clean air for the 94, though, clear of traffic. Doesn't look like he's got anybody to contend with, at least for the time being. It's about 8 seconds before you get up to Nathan Jurgensen, and I don't think he's going to catch him in the next 11 laps. So now it's mono-e-mono, truck versus truck, driver versus driver. 10 left to go here tonight at Charlotte.
I'm looking back. It looks like Delaney got sideways in 3 and 4 and spun it straight onto pit road. You hate to see it. He was running so well. Oh my goodness, the number 12 machine.
See if we can get a replay of that. I did notice that he was falling on telemetry. I wondered if he might have been suffering the same connection problems that we saw Kyle Myers have moments ago, but as you alluded to, that is not the case. Let's see what happens to Delaney in the 6 truck.
Yeah, it looked like to me, right in the middle of 3 and 4, just started getting sideways and drifted throughout the whole corner.
He's very lucky the fact that that thing didn't end up hitting that inside wall, that he was able to at least make it down on pit road, but obviously that is an unscheduled trip to pit lane for the 6 machine, and that is yet another driver. I mean, what's the total up to? About now 4 drivers, I think. Delaney, Myers, Hogan, and Collins. Drivers that were up inside the top 5 for pretty much the entirety of the day until they hit their problems and now find themselves either multiple laps down in the case of Delaney or back in the garage area for the other 3.
Also keep in mind Pfeffer too. Pfeffer had a strong truck but was never quite able to get up to the front. And Braxton DeWeese as well. Had a lot of speed, finished 3rd last week. Had a bad run, unfortunately, today. Had to exit the race very early on.
We talk about the fact that Charlotte Motor Speedway in the NASCAR Cup Series, it hosts one of the longest races of the season, the Coke 600, an endurance race, and that's something that drivers have to prepare themselves for, is to not make any mistakes for the entirety of the run. Here tonight, same deal for these Reaper Speedlab Truck Series drivers. You have to run 134 clean laps. No mistakes on the racetrack, no mistakes on pit road, and for a good half dozen drivers, this track has found some way to cause some bad luck, and no doubt about it, I think that Charlotte Motor Speedway here tonight is going to be one of the tracks we'll look back on at the end of the regular season and kind of highlight as a place that really shook up the points and kind of molded the landscape of who eventually is going to be the 10 drivers battling for the championship.
This has been a very good and very clean race. A lot of good racing throughout. Hill trying to cut down the lead on Phillip. Lost a couple of tenths the last few laps, but he's actually experimenting. possibly was talking to his teammate Kyle Myers about that high side. He really tried to get that high lane working for a couple of laps there and lost a decent amount of time, lost a couple of tenths, maybe lost 3 or 4 tenths trying to pull off that strategy. And now he's around 9 tenths back, almost a second back of Agnew Phillip with just 5 laps remaining. I just don't think he's going to have enough time unless Phillip makes a mistake.
Yeah, pulled back down to the bottom. You saw there in 1 and 2. We'll see what he does here in 3 and 4. Middle entry, right back down again to that blue line. So giving up hope on that top side. And to your point, not really gaining, not really losing to Agnew Phillip. And he is running out of time for sure. It's going to be 6 miles left to go here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for Agnew Phillip, whose best finish coming tonight was a second place performance, which happened to him twice. Here tonight, he is looking to get that one position better, get that first trip to victory lane, and right now, he is only a little more than 3 laps away from that being done. You're looking for the best battle in the racetrack right now in the closing stages. It might be for the 6th position. Tyler Bentley, about 0.2 of a second off of Jamie Knopf for 6th place, so we'll follow that, see if that gets any closer in the final stages of this one. As next time by, going to be 2 laps to go for Agnew Phillip, and that gap, it closed up a little bit there, Kyle, but again, just not enough laps, I don't think, for the 99.
Maybe if Hill had stuck with the bottom and never even attempted the high side, he might have had a chance of at least snagging the number 94's draft and maybe getting up there, but a little too late to be making these moves. And at this point, everybody but Agnew Phillip is hoping for some debris on the racetrack because there's 2 laps to go. Does he make it around to the white flag?
Agnew Phillip mentioned that he was runner-up twice. The most recent was back at the Bristol Motor Speedway, where he came up just short on tire strategy to Christopher Pfeffer. But down the back straightaway here, next time through 3 and 4, he's going to see the white flag in the flagman's hands. There is a truck up ahead of him that he may have to deal with in the closing stages. I believe that is, I think that's the 73 of Robert Shin, who is already a lap down. More than likely, he will get out of the way as white flag indeed displayed over the hood of Agnew Phillip's number 94 Ford, and he is about to see if he can come around here. No mistakes, correction, that was a Chevrolet. He's got half a lap left to go, a big gap back to Christopher Hill. 3 and 4 and head for home.
Here comes Agnew Phillip, has had a strong day all day long, started on the outside front row, was able to save his tires and get himself up to the race lead. Agnew Phillip is a winner here in the Reaper Speedlab Truck Series.
Finally gets that checkered flag that's eluded him for the last couple of months. Part-time driver, and to finally get that trophy he was looking for as well. And for the first time this season, we're going to get to see Agnew Phillip do some burnouts. It happens here tonight at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Hill brings it home second. Cooley in third. Tanner Love will be probably up inside of a playoff position as he'll finish fourth. And Daniel Simmons, great job sniping a top 5 in the closing stages as he'll finish in the 5th position. As didn't take Agnew Phillip any time at all to get back to the start-finish line, and he begins the celebration on the front stretch.
I'm guessing he doesn't want to save this truck for anything. Seth went straight up into the outside wall in that first donut right there. When flying up into the outside wall, got some bumper damage, but definitely very excited and a well-deserved victory for Agnew Phillip, who really ran that run after the caution flag to perfection, took it very easy after losing that second spot and drove back up, took the race lead and never looked back. Phenomenal job from Phillip. Gets that victory, finally gets the monkey off his back, Seth.
You know, mentioned the fact that he finished runner-up at Bristol. The other track he finished runner-up at, we talked about it earlier on in the broadcast. That was at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So finally gets some redemption at a D-shaped oval as well here tonight at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. So let's take a look at the finishing results from this evening's festivities. We gave you the top 5. Jamie Knopf brings home in 6th, so another good pair of performances for the LA Motorsports drivers. Great debut for Tyler Bentley, bringing it home in 7th. Nathan Jurgensen fell back to finish in 8th. Channing Ballou going to finish in the 9th position. Nice run for him, and he was the last truck to finish on the lead lap. Robert Anderson, who we saw go a lap down to green flag conditions, though, he's going to get a top 10 run. First car 1 lap down in 10th place. We look further on down the list, and this is where a lot of the storylines that we saw during the course of this race, strong drivers not getting the performances or the finishes that reflected how strong they were. Delaney 16th, Myers 17th, Hogan in 18th, Collins 19th, Pfeffer in 20th. I mean, no doubt about it here tonight. A lot of drivers benefited from this race at Charlotte, but a lot of drivers are going to be heading to Gateway next week, kind of trying to play catch up and gain back those points that they lost.
Next week when these drivers are at Gateway, are going to be trying to make up a lot of points. I feel like some of these drivers are even looking forward to Sonoma. They might not be that great at the racetrack, but if you can keep yourself out of trouble, you're most likely going to end up with a pretty decent finish out there in California.
Yeah, Boyd Hogan, the winner at the first road course stop for these drivers this season at Circuit of the Americas, finishing outside the top 15 tonight. You certainly think he's got Sonoma circled on his calendar to maybe try to go back to back at road course configurations. But it's time to now talk to the drivers. We saw with some of the onboards, it certainly looked like they had their hands full tonight. Let's find out if indeed that was the case and how they were able to keep those trucks pointed in the right direction and get the finishes that they did. Looks like we don't have Will Cooley just yet. I believe we the last time we had him finishing the podium, we had to wait a little bit to be able to talk with him. So we'll leapfrog him for the moment and talk with him hopefully in just a few. Let's jump and talk instead for the first interview to our runner-up finisher here tonight, Christopher Hill. Hey Chris, it's Kyle and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
I got you.
Man, a great performance for you here tonight. Strong truck all evening long. Qualified up inside the top 10. Never fell outside of the top 5. Even had that great battle there off of pit road at the end of the first stage to give you a good track position for the second and final stage of the evening. But kind of looked like it was a battle of tire conservation between you and the 94. What little more do you need to be able to reel them in?
Um, an extra lap of gas. The start of that stage, I just kind of let it rip. I figured I could save enough gas mid to long run and still make pace that I could do all my saving then, and I guessed wrong. So I burned too much fuel early, and I mean, literally the last 75 laps of stage two was just fuel conservation because I just killed it too early.
Now, we ended up seeing with a couple of onboards, I think we took an onboard with you as well. A lot of counter steering off the corner. These trucks obviously seem quite a bit on edge. I mean, as a driver, are you white knuckle every time you come up that corner, hoping that the rear end sticks and doesn't spin around? Or, I mean, does the driver actually have a comfort in the truck as opposed to what we see?
Um, I mean, with dirty air being so strong, like so strong on the nose of these things. I mean, you'd like to set them up to turn pretty nicely, pretty freely. So I mean, when you get out to clean air and you don't have that hindrance anymore, the truck takes full advantage of that turn. So I mean, when you got clean air, it just you got to stay on top of it. Kind of micro correct before you actually get sideways. It's just the best way to make lap time in clean air and in dirty air. Because I mean, if you're set up for clean air, you get dirty air and you can't even drive the thing. So it's definitely on edge, but I mean, that's almost the way you have to have it just to make pace.
We didn't see the caution fly here tonight for any on track incidents, only for the end of the first and only stage of the night. But no doubt about it, we end up having a lot of storylines leaving Charlotte here tonight. A lot of drivers that were running well, a lot of drivers that were up there in the point standings, finding problems during the course of this 134 laps. A lot of drivers that were ahead of you in the point standings coming to this one. Hogan, Pfeffer, Crampton not in the field here this evening. Certainly going to be up there in the conversation for the points lead next week. So, how do you carry this momentum into Gateway? And maybe next time we see you at Sonoma, have you as the new points leader?
We just got to keep bringing trucks like tonight. Stay on top of the strategy. Just keep showing up with pace. Smart, consistent races, and the points will keep coming our way. That's the game plan.
Well, Christopher, congratulations on a great performance here tonight. Another solid outing for you. Second place here, eventually under the lights at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And now we're going to hand the mic over to you, let you do some thank you sponsors and shout outs.
I got to thank everybody over at Legacy Esports for the work on the trucks week in, week out. I got to thank Kevin Kirchar, Blackstone Management, everything they do for Legacy. Thanks to you all for putting on the show.
That's Christopher Hill. He's your runner-up finisher here tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Congratulations once again. Best of luck next week at Gateway, and hopefully talk to you in 2 weeks' time when we head to the West Coast at Sonoma.
Thank you all.
And we have our race winner standing by in victory lane, so let's talk with him now. Agno Phillip. Hey, Agno, it's Colin Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
I do.
Man, I could tell how excited you were to win this race. I think you might have set a record of taking the checkered flag and then being back around to the start finish line for your burnout. But man, I mean, you've been so close so many times. You had two runner-up finishes coming into tonight. That checkered flag has eluded you. You finally close out the deal. So I mean, how good is it to have that monkey off your back? Because no doubt about it, you had the strongest truck here tonight.
Yeah, no, it's great. I didn't know what to expect coming into this. It seemed like kind of through the week and some of the official racing, the setups were pretty close. So I didn't know kind of, and we hadn't had a lot of green runs, and I knew that's where our truck was the strongest, was on the long runs. But yeah, no, it's good to kind of break through and get into victory lane against this kind of this level of talent and this level of setup builders that are in this league. So um, really fortunate. Gotta give all the credit to the guys on the A51 Pro team for building a rocket ship. This thing was a ton of fun to drive long run, and it showed.
We saw a lot of trucks on edge. We had some near spins, no caution coming out for them, though. Some really good saves. And we saw, obviously, based off the lap times, there was a lot of fall off with the Goodyear tires. Now, we were focused so much on tires, we didn't really focus as much on fuel. We saw a lot of you guys come down, kind of split that final stage in half. But we were just talking moments ago there with Christopher Hill, and he said it was really, really close there on being able to make it to the end on what he had in the tank. How close was it for you? How confident were you that you were going to be able to make it?
Um, I was pretty confident. I mean, it made an extra lap compared to Christopher on that first run. But the track sped up a lot. I mean, obviously, as it was getting to nighttime and looking at kind of the fuel usage, we were burning a lot more fuel, it seemed like, on that second run. I didn't have the benefit of the draft like I did on the first run, being kind of stuck in traffic and having to check up more. So the fuel is definitely a part of it. I mean, I think ultimately, like, the strategy was going to have to be make it on one stop, because you didn't have to really save that much to get to 50 laps, and we knew that going in. That was the plan. But kind of executing that, especially on that second stint, where I was like driving along thinking I'd be just fine. I had an extra lap in the tank, and then looking down at the fuel gauge and being like, oh, this is burning off a lot more quickly than I thought. So there was definitely there, and I when I came around on my record outlap after the finish to the burnout, I actually ran out of fuel. I couldn't actually do a burnout, so I was pretty close. I think I ended up with like 0.1 or 0.2 in the tank, so it was close.
Obviously, we know that Charlotte is known for the endurance type races, and here tonight we were fully expecting we were going to see a transition from twilight into nighttime. Now, obviously, I'm not going to have you give away any of your secrets, but we know that this is an opportunity for drivers to get some reps in preparation for Road to Pro. Was there any adjustments that went on that final pit stop from what you were running during the somewhat daytime conditions to then eventually the nighttime conditions, or did you just keep it exactly the way it was?
Mostly the same. We probably could have made a couple tweaks, keep up with the track a little bit better. I think that's definitely something we'll keep in mind for the Road to Pro race tomorrow. Um, but yeah, I mean, it seems like in the sim, we put so many hours into building these setups. They're so finely tuned that at the end of the day, like, the changing track conditions usually don't actually end up having that big of an effect. I might be outing myself here as not really knowing what I'm talking about, but we don't typically do a lot of changes mid race. I think there was definitely room for it, and it'll be interesting in the Road to Pro race tomorrow, because I think that it'll be a similar sort of transition. Um, we're definitely going to take some of the lessons of what we did in this race, and try to put it towards anticipating how the track's going to change tomorrow.
Well, a tremendous performance for you here tonight. After that truck got out in clean air, nobody seemed to be able to even get in the same zip code as you. Agnell, congratulations on the victory. And now we'll give the opportunity for some victory lane. Thank you, sponsors and shout outs.
Yeah, like I said at the top, thanks to the team at A51 Pro, I think we've gotten a lot better at the mile and a halfs compared to where we were at the start of the Road to Pro season. So that's a credit to all the work everybody's been putting in, and so got to thank them. Got to thank you all for broadcasting this to the leaders of the league for putting it on and giving us a space to kind of have long runs to test out our Road to Pro sets before the races. So thanks to them, and thanks to you.
That's Agnell Phillip. He gets to celebrate in Victory Lane here tonight at one of the home of the Crown Jewel races, Charlotte Motor Speedway. Congratulations once again, Agnell. Best of luck next week when you guys head to Gateway, and maybe we'll be able to talk to you again in Victory Lane in 2 weeks' time at Sonoma.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Seth.
So as Agnell Phillip continues to celebrate his victory here tonight, it will be A51 Pro's first win on the season, an 8th different winner on the year here as well. 13 races, 8 different winners. We ended up talking about Boyd Hogan quite a bit in the early portion of the season. Then all of a sudden, Christopher Hill was winning a lot of races. Andrew Navarro ended up having a couple of victories, but there's been a lot of diversity in drivers that have gone to victory lane. And Kyle, I don't think much is going to change here down the home stretch towards the playoffs.
A lot of the same guys battling up in the front, but different guys almost every week. Some very, very good racing, very competitive racing here in the Reaper Speedlab Truck Series as we enter pretty much the second half of the season. Next week, these drivers will be going to Worldwide Technology Raceway, aka Gateway, and then the week after that, we'll be back on the broadcast at Sonoma, Infineon, Sears Point, a lot of different names for that track up there in wine country.
Absolutely. Going to be a good one there in 2 weeks' time. Going to be the first time we'll get to see these Truck Series drivers take to the curves of a road course. So, certainly looking forward to that one. We hope you guys will join us. Again, that's going to be in 2 weeks' time. Next week, they'll be at Worldwide Technology Raceway. We will be bringing you coverage on June the 8th when we head to Sonoma Raceway for race number 15. But here tonight, at Charlotte Motor Speedway, it is Agnell Phillip getting it done. He started on the outside of the front row. He finishes one position better, finally gets that trophy, finally gets that checkered flag. He is a victor in the Reaper Speedlab Truck Series. Kyle, it's been a great one here this evening. I appreciate you joining me in the booth.
Yeah, it's been a great race, very clean racing, but at the same time, very competitive racing all night long. Phillip ended up on top, and now I'm looking forward to making those right turns in Sonoma, man.
Should be a good one. Thank you all for tuning in to tonight's race from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Again, in 2 weeks' time, we'll see you at Sonoma Raceway. For Kyle Lawrence, I'm Seth Cole. You've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.